¿Quieres llevar tus sesiones musicales al siguiente nivel? El modo aleatorio.
The overlords of what's going on, and if they can spot out Adam, like, Philippines hold the key into the circle for both of these sides. Look at the three players stacked up now. Adam is going to get knocked by Tentrip, and this could not be going better for Team UK. They're trying to steal the kills away. Tentrip with another one. Vex gets the last one, and Canada fall. They assumed that this position was clear. Trick was there. Elsewhere though, Turkey, they're going to run into Chinese Taipei as a quick triple knock will come through. Savior, who we heard from at the start of the game, he's holding the MJ3 and that weapon.
No, not like this. Don't do Cappy like this. Don't do him like this. Hey! Oh, what a shot, Trick. No, not like this, Poland. Come on, man.
Lemon will get himself lost. Chinese Taipei fall.
Another reposition, switching between sites, wants to find the best one for this moment. Red dot seems good to me. And over, AT headshot found. AT has to prone down, needs some help from Intens. Intens right behind him there. Oh, he goes for it, he's got it! Baby! Woohoo! The double kill.
It is day one here, and it is going to be electric. It is Gibson, joined by Paperthin, to bring you all the action today. And Paper, after the survival stage yesterday, emotions were running high for some players going into last night.
No doubt about it. It came down to that last game, a make or break for a bunch of different teams, and we saw some rise up, like Denmark, like Poland, but we saw some just fall short. France, one placement point in that tiebreaker from making it through in their very first appearance here at PNC. What a showing they had, but they just couldn't quite get it done.
A phenomenal day one for them, but it just goes to show how different every single play day is in PUBG and how it is so difficult to actually win tournaments and win events. And as I said, emotions were high too. Speaking to some players, I know the Team UK were devastated when they got the first knock on to Canada, because obviously those players know each other, and it's one of the things that I love about PNC. These players, some are teammates, some are friends, and for the first time at events, they're rivals.
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to see a lot more of that here today, as teams like Team Liquid have a bunch of different representation across multiple different countries. So there's a lot of exciting storylines in terms of people who normally play together that are playing against each other, players who are going to be finding themselves in their very first final stage and their very first PNC ever, like the Philippines. So some really cool storylines to follow.
Yeah, the Philippines were absolutely phenomenal yesterday. But, you know, as we get ready, one thing I want to speak about in particular is the format, right? To remind everybody at home, this was a 24-team event. The top 8 teams from last year's PNC, they qualified directly through to the grand finals, and the other 16 had to play over 2 days in the survival stage to get to this point we are today. And as you said, some teams confidently roared their way into the finals, but for others, as you said, it was a really, really tight affair. Look at Denmark. Who would have had them qualifying yesterday after the day one they had?
Yeah, 74 points yesterday for Denmark. I mean, what a change. You know, just came in with more confidence, had a little bit more luck on their side. and they're able to come through and show us that kind of expected level of PUBG we know that Denmark is capable of. You know, they had a 6th place finish in their one appearance previously in PNC, so certainly excited for them. Today, the map rotation is going to change just a little bit. We're just swapping Miramar and Erangel. We're going to start out on the Dusty Dunes. Tego Rondo, same order in the middle there, and then Erangel to wrap up the first day.
It's funny because we had a conversation in the pre-show. You're an enjoyer of finishing on Miramar, and I'm an enjoyer of finishing on Erangel. Either way, for the teams that played really well on this map yesterday, and I'm looking at the likes of Denmark, it's a great way to carry on that momentum onto a map that you finished with in a brilliant fashion, with Beamy getting that final kill. And one of the things that I love about this event is seeing the fans of players. Did you see there was a bunch of people running around with Denmark jerseys and a sign with Beamy on it? And I asked him, did he see it? He was like, he had no clue. He was like, I didn't know I was big here.
He is big here. I mean, he's such a good player. He's been so good for so long that it's not too surprising that he's accumulated some fans along the way, but you're going to have a ton of fans representing a ton of different countries. I mean, I've seen people from all over the world here. I know there's going to be fans from Brazil here as usual. Saw them last year, and I guarantee they're going to be representing. Norway, for sure, we know has been represented, so it's going to be really exciting.
And there's no doubt that there's definitely going to be a home crowd favorite as well taking part, and their first day is today as well. And honestly, those home fans, I think they have a lot to be happy about, because that Korea team, which we'll talk about a little bit later on today, is looking so good.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they're going to be a force in this event. I mean, year after year after year, Korea brings one of the best rosters you can think of, no matter what is going on in Korea. So really excited about that. But we want to take a live look at what you have in store for the fans here. Bella's got a live report from the fan zone.
Hello guys, it's Bella. We are day 1 here at final stage of PNC 2025. The weather is hot, but it's going to get hotter inside the venue. But before all that, we have a whole area filled with events for you guys to enjoy. We got the MD exhibition, and of course the gift zone with the little box. And we have the predict the winner zone as well. So make sure to stop by this area before enjoying the show, and I'll see you guys later.
All right, and as usual, all kinds of fun stuff to do here at PNC for the fans, so tons of stuff to come down and check out. You know, there's still a few tickets available. I'm just going to say, not for the last day, but there's something else going on that day with ESPA coming through, so still, you can come down to Olympic Park and check things out regardless. I know it's hot, but we got plenty of cool stuff for you to do.
Cool stuff to do inside, and it's AC inside, so it's not a bad place to be to get some shade. And we spoke about the fan zone. If you are here, free slushies outside in the colours of the country that you want to represent, so it's worth keeping an eye on as well. But we're going to look at the record of the top 8 teams and how they got. So obviously Korea are going to try to go back to back to back, which is essentially unheard of in an event like this. USA, they were runners up last year. 1 point, right? It was 1 point in the end between the two sides, and if I know those guys as much as I do, they're going to want to come here and show what they can really do this time around.
For sure. I mean, I know for Purdy Curdy, he wants to get that first global win one way or another. He's been so close so many times, going back to PGC last year. So for him and a lot of those boys, they want to take this home for the USA, and I think they're absolutely a contender, a threat. You know, you got to look at APAC as well. They're going to bring a lot of teams. South America is always strong. So this is going to be a packed lobby. And like you said, that 1 point difference, Korea able to get it done in the last game. A little bit different roster for both sides, but Korea in particular bringing a couple different players.
Yeah, and I think for the USA, I think they're going to get stronger. Obviously, Snakers is an incredible player and always has been. But I feel like by adding Alo, he's got a really good relationship with Kurt. Those two play together every single day. They don't even need to communicate at times. They just have a sixth sense as to where everybody's going to be. And with on the other side of the coin, Shrimsy and Kick having that same cohesion, I think it's really going to help Team USA. And when it comes to Team Korea, it is so hard to get on that PNC side because there are so many incredible players from Korea that it's so hard for them to bring the same roster year on year whenever performance has an impact on who plays.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the Korea roster this year, you're going to have Gyumin as your IGL. He's been IGLing for the Freaks. You know, 2 second places at both PGSs earlier this year. They can really get it done. Now, they're not going to be kind of in the same play style as some of the previous Korea teams, I feel like. maybe a little bit more measured, maybe a little bit more looking for some of that zone control. But I know also Seoul, with him being back here, he wants to get it done on the global stage. It's his first chance. He was telling me backstage just a little bit ago that, you know, for him, he's kind of frustrated because he's been a little bit bored this year. He hasn't made it to any global events, so this is his opportunity, and I guarantee he's going to want to get aggressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of players actually globally that are huge names that haven't been able to play at a PGS this year or even at PNC. So me personally, I'm so excited to get to cast him for the first ever time because he's a phenomenal player in the scene. And we're watching the highlights last year of how those teams got so close in the end, and it came down to the very last game. But the big thing about these two sides, I think, will be the contracts in style, because you spoke about how you think there's going to be a bit more measure with Korea this year. I think that in a lobby like this, it's the team that makes the best decisions that are going to win. Like, I know that's an obvious thing to say, but these aren't four players who play together every single day. So it's going to be so much harder to keep on top of what everybody's doing. And as we said in the survival stage, sometimes these players, they don't need to communicate in their normal rosters because they just know. So they have to add that layer to their game that they don't maybe not usually use.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Seoul and Salute, you're going to have some level of comfort there, going back to their days together on Danawa. Gumin and Salute, obviously, together on the Freaks. Raining's kind of the wild card there. His first PNC, a player who I've been a big fan of for a very long time in Korea because of his individual rifling skill in particular. I think you got to see a little bit of that at PGS. Well-deserved spot here for him. But on the USA side, you have crazy good fraggers there. You have a great front liner and kick. So I really think that they're going to push the tempo again.
I always pick Raining in fantasy. He's one of the players, because he's always a bargain as well. Like,
yeah.
I can never understand how he's so cheap. But the big thing is, these are the two teams that were first and second place last year. A lot of people at home will think they could be the top two once more, but let's have a hear on what players from both of the sides had to say when they spoke to Bella a little while ago.
안녕하세요, 벨라입니다. 2024 디펜딩 챔피언 서울 선수와 2위였던 팀 USA의 킥스타트 선수 한번 모셔봤는데요. 과연 올해 서울에서 다시 리매치를 하게 됐는데 서로에게 하고 싶은 이야기가 있는지 물어보도록 하겠습니다. Hi guys, it's Bella. I'm standing with the defending champion of PNC and the runner-up Team USA Kickstart. I want to ask them, do you have anything you would like to say? Is it going to be different this year? All right, so first.
뭐 작년과는 별 다를 거 없다고 생각하고 아마도 뭐 이번에도 우승을 놓치지 않을까라고 좀 예상하고 있습니다.
I don't think it's going to be different this year. I think the trophy is going to be ours again. What do you have to say to that, Kick?
Well, I caught his breakfast this morning and it was a crab mayo sandwich from a gas station. So I don't know if that's like his normal diet, but I don't think it's looking good for him.
오늘 서울 선수의 아침 식사가 뭐 게살 마요를 먹는 걸 봤는데 뭐 그게 뭐 루틴인지는 모르겠지만 오늘 별로지 않을까라고 킥스타트 선수가 얘기해줬습니다. Alright, good luck, Seoul. Good luck, Kick. Okay, say 안녕. 안녕.
Gas station sushi, the breakfast of champions, right?
Look, I mean, the convenience food, you know, does slap here. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I love convenience stores in Korea. So I think Seoul's on the right track, personally. We'll have to wait and see. But another region we got to look out for, dude, is APAC. I mean, obviously, if you've been watching the survival stage, you saw Indonesia and the Philippines absolutely come out just fragging their minds out.
And it's such a change from last year. Indonesia, obviously, they have come back. They dominated yesterday. And for Philippines, at their first ever event, there maybe was a couple of nerves over the first two maps on day one, but they were incredible. But look on the left, two powerhouses of PUBG, Thailand and Vietnam coming in. And we had a conversation about Thailand, right? They've always been a region that have been known to shoot first, ask questions later. But you think with a change in roster and a change in IGL, you think there'll be a different approach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ross Jr. coming in, he is a veteran of PUBG esports, and the way he runs his T5 team is very, very different. They're not nearly as aggressive as a lot of the other Thai teams. They're going to play a slower game. They love things like E-pickups and using the gliders for scouting to look for some of those, you know, phase 4, phase 3, maybe phase 5 rotations to try to get a center circle position that's valuable. Things like that are going to be more in their wheelhouse, I suspect.
Yeah. I think that it makes them more dangerous, actually. You know, because obviously whenever you get in a fight with Thailand as a team, you know that they're there for the long haul. But now you'd have to think twice about, well, where could the rest of the players be? Are we fighting against 3 players with another player on a scout? It's little things like that that are worth keeping an eye on. And honestly, I think that Thailand is another region where it's so hard to pick the 4 best players because they're just so stacked from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, players like Tigger aren't here. He's absolutely incredible. We're bringing in Kiss, which is super exciting. He is absolutely incredible. I mean, what he showed us at PGS earlier this year was beyond belief. Fluky is a known quantity, a phenomenal player, to say the least. He has always been a really good frontline fragger, great with those ARs as you just saw in those highlights. And of course, Vietnam has maybe the best player in the world right now, Himas. Absolutely just destructive in every aspect of the game.
Who was called out, by the way, by Team Norway yesterday, as Himan wants to prove that even though they share similar names, that they have different goals over the course of today. And I think it'll be worth keeping an eye on if those 2 teams go head to head. But you brought up the fact as well about Kiss coming in. I watched APAC quals ahead of PGS at the start of the year, and I remember going, wow, this team looks phenomenal, and Kiss is a star. And then at PGS, the first couple of maps, they looked so nervous. But oh my, did Kiss just evolve to another level? And you saw players like Tig, Shrimzy, you know, even lots of European players saying, this Kiss kid is insane.
Yeah, they have really good mechanics. They have some really interesting decision-making that a lot of teams aren't maybe going to try, where they'll kind of take these weird semi-aggressive positions where they're going to hold some ground behind some of the other teams, let them do a little fighting, wait for their moment to strike, try to play for that late game. You know, that was for SMO at least at PGS. I think back to that Tego game that went south of Godok and that right near the river edge, and they were able to get a really good result there with playing that kind of style. So I think it is going to be a little bit different, well, with obviously the national roster instead of his normal team, but this is a guy to watch out for. He can frag.
Yeah, I can't wait. So if you don't have him on your fantasy team or you've not said it yet, think about it. But another 2 teams that I really want to hear what they have to say, right? So let's hear what Thailand and Vietnam had to say ahead of today's games.
Hi guys, it's Bella. I'm standing with Team Thailand's Kiss of Death Kiss and Himas from Team Vietnam, a given name. How are you guys today?
Super good, very good. Yeah.
Super good, very good. What about you, Himas?
I'm very good.
Very good. All right. Well, APAC is looking stronger than ever this year. Well, how is this year going to be different for Team Thailand and Vietnam? You first, Kiss.
Thailand win.
Thailand win? Okay. Well, Himas, you heard that. What about Vietnam?
Vietnam win.
Vietnam win. Okay. Well, Sawadika and
Cảm ơn.
Cảm ơn, Himas. Thank you. Say bye.
Well, made a few words, right?
Yeah.
But effective words.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Win. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, but let's turn our attention back to yesterday's action. So going into yesterday, Poland were in the hunt, and a lot of people had ruled Denmark out. And we're just going to look at the day that they had as far as how many points and placements they were able to move over the course of the day. Denmark going all the way from 16th to 5th in one day with, what, 74 points?
Yeah. Once they got to Miramar, they just took over. I mean, you could see the confidence flowing for them, taking some really aggressive fights, some really opportunistic fights, looking for those third-party opportunities, getting deeper into games. And then, of course, the last game, even though Beamy clutches it out with that 1v2 against Norway, they were already secured at that point. But, man, what a cherry on top of the sundae there for them, because that was a thing of beauty.
Just make sure that they avoid C4s today, because whether they're using them or they're being used against them, it really doesn't work well for Denmark.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that one that Norway did was absolutely beautiful, just throwing the motorcycle at them. And the funniest part was Hyman, as he hits the wall and knocks himself, that's when the C4 goes off, and he's in that temporary invulnerable state when you first get knocked. So he's able to survive it even while wiping the team. So yeah, the first day was a little weird for Denmark, but they seem to be right back into what we thought they could do. And this guy right here, absolutely incredible.
I'm so happy because I spent all of our pre-show day talking about how good Keter is, and like, a lot of people don't know who he is, and I'm like, he's going to go under the radar, but he will come here and show what a valuable asset he is to Denmark. He dropped 1 kill on the first day, and I was like, either I have caster cursed him so hard, or I just don't know what I'm talking about. But day 2 yesterday, Keter showed up, big for his side, and you really need all 4 players to be at their best, especially this weekend now, because it's not about getting top 8. From this point on, it's about winning.
Exactly. I mean, you know, you talk to some of the players back there, especially like Marcelak, he was telling me, you know, they're so happy they got through here, obviously just barely, but now he feels like there's no pressure. You know, he's like, you're either 1st or 16th, or you're somewhere in the middle. And that's kind of how they're treating it today. They're coming out here, they're having fun. You know, a lot of players love this event because it gives them the ability to play with some freedom, with a little bit less pressure on them in some ways. So can't wait to see what teams like Denmark and Poland are going to be able to do after a strong finish yesterday.
My favorite thing about the whole thing yesterday was when Poland actually got over the threshold, they didn't know. I spoke to Marsalek. The players were saying very colorful language. They thought they were knocked out. They were disappointed. And then Marsalek saw the sign and he just started leaping. But let's have a look at our top 5 kill leaders. And Trick was obviously phenomenal yesterday. Beamy with a big day. But I want to talk about Michael, because he was part of the PNC roster that won a couple of years ago. Then he didn't get picked up. And then last year he came back in a disappointing event for UK. But yesterday and the day before, Michael was brilliant.
Well, it's crazy to think, like, how much value he brings to this squad as an IGL and now as a fragger on top of that. I mean, we saw some great moments from him. That Rondo game, he was really stellar in some of his individual decision-making and some of the overall decision-making that the UK was bringing, the way that they were managing their space around them, leaving T-Bone behind. But Michael is kind of one of those point guys, was really impactful at closing out their win and making sure that they got here into this final stage.
And then Teddy obviously was brilliant yesterday as well. I feel like Teddy had Spain in a headlock at points. He was just ruining them all day long as we look at our damage leaders. But there is one player I think that's worth mentioning who didn't get into the top 5, and that's Fuzzface. He dropped 19 kills for Sweden. And for him, that is phenomenal, showing that he can still do it. So, you know, if he wants to maybe make a run back at full-time comp, he definitely can.
Please do. Please do. I mean, with what we saw in terms of his complete understanding of the game, his ability to read situations correctly. You know, I still am going to think back to that very first match at Erangel where, yes, he died going over the hill to 2 players of Japan, but that actually got Sweden much further in that game because he identified that 2 players had crept up underneath them because of his game sense, because of his understanding of the map. Things like that are so important, but I'm sad Sweden's not here. They had such a good first day, but looking forward to hopefully seeing more of Fuzz in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And it is so good to be in a situation like this for him to show what he can do. Obviously heartbreak in the end, because I think when we looked at it with 5 or 6 minutes left on the last map, he was, you know, Sweden were still in. It was last second. We spoke a little bit about predictions though, and I hate making predictions, right?
Me too.
It's so hard to do, especially in a lobby like this. But you've gone for Vietnam.
For today.
For today.
For the whole event, I'm going with China. But I think today Vietnam's going to come out swinging. I think with APAC having all this momentum, I think they're going to be the best APAC team here. So that's the team I'm looking at. You went with Brazil, though.
I literally seesawed between USA and Brazil. USA because it's the region I work with, Brazil. But then I was like, you know what? We're going to talk a lot about USA. Let's go for Brazil because I think Sparking is probably the best player we've ever seen come out of South America.
Yes.
And I think we don't even have to debate that anymore.
No.
And when you consider that they've been added by some new blood, obviously you've got BL who've come in from Rock alongside Santastico. Incredible players.
Yeah, no. I mean, this Brazil squad, I think, is going to do damage again. I mean, they always do well, right? But we're going to see an even bigger step up, I think. Sparking is one of the best players on the planet. So he's always hungry to win. I love talking to him behind the scenes because he's always got that fire in him, and it's just infectious. He's such a nice guy. So I don't blame you at all for thinking Brazil here.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that as it is a new roster, right? It's not the Brazil that we're used to seeing. So for them, I think they're going to come here with a point to prove. And all the graphics that we looked at anyway, Brazil and Argentina, historically overall course of all the PNCs, have won more maps than any other regions.
Yeah, and I'm not super surprised by that in most ways. I mean, again, players who are very experienced across both teams, across just about every level of PUBG esports. You know, you think to any possible event, those guys are going to be the ones doing it. In Argentina, I'm really excited for Capitan, his first time playing, and as an IGL, so he's really stoked.
Oh, we'll talk a lot about him later, but we asked some of the people at home as well who they thought would get the most kills, and Kickstart's the same, and Tigleton's always been Tig. He's always been phenomenal. He's got his head locked in the game, but I'm surprised that we didn't see any votes for the likes of Shrimpsy, because you and I know he has been playing out of his mind for the last, I'm going to say, 18 months.